Well, hi, and thanks for joining me in my shop again. I'm continuing to work on the Rogers Majestic. I think it's an 8059A console stereo, Class A 2-channel amplifier. And so far we've done a fair bit to it. Still not working 100% though. So we changed out 3 tubes in the radio. Found this tube shorted in the output. Replaced a couple capacitors. Because they were, one of them anyway, was leaking voltage onto the grid of one of the output tubes, which could be why this one is dead now. So I think the next step along the way here will be to turn on the set again and have a listen to the radio and start poking around trying to sort out why the radio isn't working. And to be a little more specific, I think the AM is working, it's just the FM side. So that narrows it down pretty good too. So let's hook up the speakers here, because we won't hear anything without some speakers connected. Now when you put clip leads on, by the way, a good thing to do after you put them on is wiggle them a bit and let them wander into their final position, because they tend, when you clip them on, they tend to not be where they really want to be. If you give them a little wiggle, they'll kind of settle into their spot, and then you can see if there's a short. Otherwise, if you don't do that, these things are like spring-loaded in a sense. Well, they are. They're spring-loaded. And they can suddenly wander into another position and initiate a short. So that's why I always put them on. I kind of wiggle them down until they're fairly solid. And quick safety check here. Everything looks okay. So we'll put it on. Current limiting. Always. Just on account of you never know what's going on in the shop here. And apparently, if you watch enough of my videos, you know a good portion of the time I don't know what's going on. So I best not rely on me. That's for sure. So there we go. Okay, you can see the plate current starting to flow. We should hear a little bit now. About a 1-channel anyway. And there we are. A very faint hiss. You may not be able to hear it. My computer fans are running over here, which provide a similar level of noise. I don't hear anything like a radio though. Maybe it's not set on radio. It may be set on phono right now. So let's check that out. Turn it down. Okay, I think this is phono here. What's happening there? The tube's noisy. That was the tube shaking in the socket, believe it or not. Okay, so I think this is phono. I think we can probably prove that pretty quick by touching the phono inputs. Where are they? Where is the phono inputs? Where are you, phono inputs? What happened here? Have we gone crazy? What's happened to the phono inputs? Here they are. Here's the plug for it. What's the matter here? I've gone totally blind or something. Oh, here they are. Here it is, right up on the top here. Oh yes, okay. No wonder I couldn't see it. Hidden from my view up under here. Well, you guys could see it all along. How come you didn't say anything? Okay. So turn the volume down. We'll touch one of the inputs. Try the other side. Maybe that's not phono. Maybe that's not phono setting here. 2. There we are. Okay, so if that's phono, what is that setting? Oh. Right. This is the on-off switch here. And it doesn't seem to ever go off. You can see from the light here. That's off, but it ain't off. It's still on. I haven't looked into that problem, but I imagine it's just the failure of the on-off switch here. So this setting is nothing. It shouldn't have any power in this setting. This would be phono. And now turn it down. This would be AM. Getting nothing. This would be FM. We're getting some of that FM. Yes, let me give it the full volume, full voltage here, because I think maybe it needs it. Go back to AM. You know, I thought the AM was working. With my tuning around and hearing funny sounds. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think we can conclude the AM is functioning. It's really the FM here. Here's the FM side. Now that sounds like an FM. Wait a second. Now this sounds like an FM radio with no antenna. Let's put the antenna on it because it's not plugged in. There we go. Oh, I better check the other end of the antenna lead. Just bear with me for a second. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Should make sure of that before I start the video. So that's now connecting this radio to an outdoor antenna. Let's see what we get. A little more. It doesn't seem right, does it? So, we still got problems with the FM part of this radio. Just the FM part, though, it seems. Double Now my challenge here is I do not have a schematic. As I think I've mumbled this quite a few times now while I'm working on this radio. I have no schematic. Which means to some degree I have no clue of exactly how this is wired up. Now, why would we get no FM? FM tube's still bad. I did put another one in there, but maybe the one I put in there, if I remember right, it was right on the line on my tester. Actually in the question mark zone between good and bad. But my tester's generally a pessimistic tester, so it tends to show things worse than they really are. And even in the question mark zone, I can't imagine the tube is shot. We are hearing the FM sound. So it sounds like maybe we're not tuning through the FM band. Maybe we're tuning somewhere else. And that could easily relate to the distortion that occurred with the that tuning slug. Why don't we fiddle with that tuning slug a little bit and see if we can change up the way this is working. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm just going to shut it off while I relocate it. As simple a procedure as this is, I just don't want surprises while the unit's on. And move it around like this. All the components are up on top of this board, so they're quite accessible for taking little readings and stuff. And I put this light, put it there. Put her there. Yes, and my kitties are having a play fight just behind me here in case you hear some meowing and some crashing. Turn the stuff back on. Now, I'd noticed before this has some, from a North American point of view, some very unusual tubes in it. They all have North American sounding numbers, like 6AJ8. But in fact, these are the North American versions of popular European tubes. So they're not so common here. Especially when you open up a radio that says Rogers Majestic on it, you really don't expect to find an ECL 91 in there or something like that. Okay, I'm just staring at it. Better do something here. We'll see if we can slightly tune in any FM signal. If we have too much trouble, I'll put on my FM transmitter here. We'll see if we can ram something into it. Things go a little funny at the lower part of it. What's going on there? Something funny with this tube. Anyway, I think this is the 6AL5 double diode AM detector tube, I think. Not sure what it does in the FM circuit. Well, let's put on a I'll turn on my FM signal source here. And turn the hiss down. And I better find a lead here. I need a lead. Okay, I gotta hunt down a lead here. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna try, we're gonna fiddle around with this little antenna here and just see if I can't transmit right from here right to the radio without putting a connection in. And to help me figure that out, I've brought in a reliable radio, which is right down here. Okay, which we're going to tune to the output of the transmitter. So let's do that.
Moving into Toronto and the G. Before revisionism.
There it is. 97.5. Nice strong signal. Now, can we pick that up in here? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend a wire. I won't use the outdoor antenna. Again, this is without making a direct connection. Just using proximity, and FM signal is pretty high frequency, so let's see if we can pick up that. There it is. Pretty loud, pretty clear. About the right spot, about middle of the band. So, question is, how come we didn't hear any FM radio? Answer, crap FM antenna. I think that's probably the answer. So, let's put a better FM antenna on it. See what we can get out of it here. Okay, so I got the classic rabbit ears. Here they are. I'm going to put these on. Turn it down. You don't have to listen to this. It'd be pretty silly if I'm troubleshooting a radio. It works fine. Just because I have a poor antenna on it. Where's my favorite screwdriver? And my shop is in my basement, so I'm a little bit underground here. I can't expect the same, especially in FM radio signals down here, that you could, say, upstairs or outside, but it shouldn't be that bad. Most FM radios don't have a problem in my basement normally. Now we've got a good antenna. Ooh, let's... Oh, did you hear that? Can you hear that? I'll turn it up a little bit. Okay, watch. I guess I'll just have to hold it here. Let's go see what we can find.
Party.
I think it's way out of tune here because all that stuff is picked up here. In the upper half, maybe the lower half, I don't know. There's the 100 going by, or 97 actually.
Voice Rhymes 98.1 CHFI.
Okay, so we're going up. Up. There's a very powerful signal up at the top here. Everyone loves around Toronto, or at least people my age. Q107. It's at 107. No sign of it. So I think there is some kind of alignment problem. Could it be that slug is just a little out of position and needs to be compensated for? Yeah, that could be easily what's causing us trouble here. And what do I do without a schematic? Oh, if I don't have the alignment instructions on an FM alignment, man, you know, the most I could do is mess it up pretty much. I mean, it is working to some degree, but unless it gets Q107, anybody my age is going to be disappointed with it. So what should we do here? What should we do? I have no way of calibrating the oscillator, which is where the problem may lie. Could be the band should be here, but in fact it's tuned down here. I'm picking up this bit here, and I need to realign the oscillator to bring it back up here. I'm not sure I want to even try that. We could do a IF alignment. Is that going to help? I don't think it would help with the missing part of the band. Not an IF alignment. I gotta find some non-musical stuff here.
In Norse mythology, trolls live in mountains,
There we go.
caves, or under rocks with their small families. And troll families do come out.
Okay, pretty sure that's 99.1. Very close to the
So if you need to stop
100
the car
signal.
to let
Now,
a family of trolls cross the street, best to just
what do
nod
I
and
dare
let the hairy
touch here?
little dudes march on by in peace.
Let's take a closer look. Sorry about the noise. Uh-oh. Can't have any music or I'm gonna get a copyright strike. If you post YouTube videos, you know what I'm talking about. So let me just get the camera and everything in my hand here properly. There we go. Now, what's going on down here? Let's see. Okay, so we got a slot thing right there to adjust. What is this thing here? Looks like another adjustment full of wax. Okay, I got an adjustment down in here. Another adjustment here. Hey, now this adjustment, you know what? This adjustment, it's very close to this other coil. And this adjustment is very close to that coil. So am I supposed to draw some conclusions here? My conclusion would be those are adjustments compensating for the coil. Bad assumption. Don't make any assumptions here because I wouldn't know really for sure what to do about it anyway. Maybe we can move this slug here a little bit while we're listening and see if it doesn't cause some kind of change or improvement. I'm pushing on this up and down a little bit here. Watch this. Raise this up, push this down. Okay. I lost the station there for a minute. doesn't seem to make it any better, but I mean, I have to flex this and then move the shaft. How am I going to do that while I'm holding the camera in my hand here? Yeah, don't laugh, I shake too much. You know, I mean, it appears to be just perfect, but I'm sure. Certainly is precise. I can still see a bend in that wire. Let me see if I can just knock it out with the screwdriver here a little bit. All I need to see is that wire break right now. It's pretty darn straight. There's my transmitter. It just doesn't want to receive anything in the higher part of the band. Okay, sorry for all that shaky video. Yeah, I'm not sure we can do any more with this as it stands. But we have to replace this output tube, and then we'll be hooking on both channels. The sound basically is okay. Reception so-so. Better antenna located upstairs. Maybe the other channels would come in just fine. I can't be absolutely sure. It sure picks up my signal, my FM signal generator fine. Can't do anything about the stereo side of it easily right now anyway with that tube missing. And again, I couldn't really properly align the FM part here without the instructions. I wouldn't really want to make an attempt. And while, let's say I tune to the high part of the band, somehow I find that station Q107 and I make adjustments to bring it in clear, I might be just knocking everything out everywhere else without realizing it. So I really need to follow the instructions properly. A lot of FM alignment is not dependent upon what things sound like, but rather, are you nulling out voltages, are you peaking voltages, stuff like that. It needs to be measured and done properly, not by ear. So I think maybe we're it. I think maybe that's it for this radio at this point. Can't do much else with it. Hey, you know what's waiting in my office? That doggone demonized Sony is waiting to get back in here, so maybe he's next. I think I'll have to set him aside. I really don't know what else I can do here without running risks of just mucking it all up. Yeah, and just take a notice of the capacitors on the radio, yeah, because I'm taking a notice of it. And there's an electrolytic one there, it doesn't look too healthy. But all the rest of them are ceramic. All the rest of them. So hopefully they're all in pretty good shape. It seems to be because the radio is working. We don't have to worry about all that. It wouldn't be too hard to replace them, but I would hesitate for sure. This guy's not that old. He's not so old that his parts are falling apart. Not quite in my age bracket yet. So, yeah, I guess from where I'm sitting on the calendar, this guy's a bit of a youngster. I really don't know the year of it. My guess is early 60s. That's my guess. So that's it. I think we're done. I can't do more. Nothing's coming to mind. I hit the end of the road with it. So, well, thanks a lot for watching. I think this is a really interesting series of videos. Very challenging, especially this shorted tube thing. It was really quite interesting to find that. So I hope you enjoyed this. And don't worry, there's lots more radios coming. see you later.